Slowly bring the volume down. Okay. So welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I know Celia is going to do an introduction in a minute. I just wanted to take you all through a quick housekeeping of what to do with your screen. If you take a look at this screen that I'm sharing, there is an option for you to click on, I think it's the top right or the top left of your bar, different views. So if you don't want to see everybody who's on the call, there's quite a few of us, and you just want to have a good look at who's talking and at the screen, then you have a choice of views there. There's also a tab on the bottom that says participants. If you click on that, you'll see the screen on the right that allows you to do a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a check mark, yes or no. So we're going to actually be interacting with you all throughout the call. So just to give you an opportunity to know where to find those icons. And having said that, also just a reminder to everybody to please mute your microphone. We will be using the chat button if you want to ask any questions or make any remarks, then we'll be checking that on here. Otherwise, we can get started. So Celia, go ahead, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining and coming to this webinar and the introduction to our Fit and Healthy Challenge. So the firm is very excited to offer all of its firm members and spouses as well the opportunity to participate in a Fit and Healthy Challenge that involves not just utilizing Teba, who's a wellness specialist, but also a doctor and a dietitian nutritionist. The challenge is not just a weight loss challenge, it's an overall wellness challenge that includes mindfulness, nutrition, virtual classes, wellness webinars, tips and best practices as it relates to complete wellness. All of you, as well as your spouses, will have complete guidance into a healthy lifestyle. So as we all know, 2020 has been a pretty difficult and challenging year for all of us, not just from a professional standpoint, but also from a physical and mental standpoint. The directors want to be able to help all firm members achieve wellness, as well as provide you with the tools in order to accomplish that. So welcome to our Fit and Healthy Challenge. Let me just provide you with just a brief background on each of our specialists and those that are going to be a part of this program. So first I'll start with Dr. Gus Castellanos. He's an MD in neurology and sleep. He's a board certified doctor as well as a mindfulness educator. Dr. Castellanos began practicing mindfulness in 1998 and teaching in 2009. He currently teaches at a variety of facilities throughout South Florida, including the University of Miami, FIU, and Mindful Kids Miami, just to mention a few. He's also trained at American Express, Tech Data Corp, and large firms such as Ackerman LLP. He actively participates in mindfulness research with the University of Miami. Kara Bernstein is a board-registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator. Her passion is to help people find their own unique way to a healthier lifestyle. She has provided nutrition education and counseling to the South Florida area for over 20 years. She assists with motivation and behavior modification strategies that will help you meet your overall goal. Kara's specialty is diabetes nutrition education. However, she also works with adults, adolescents, and children with general weight loss or gain, autoimmune disorders, cardiovascular disease, and much, much more. Teba who is on the call and will be leading the call today and explaining the program, is a Florida board licensed therapist, yoga instructor, and certified CE provider. She was former director of sales and marketing for Procter & Gamble. She was former spa director at the Ritz-Carlton and the continuing education director at Educating Hand in Miami. Although Teba enjoyed her work, her passion is health and wellness in the corporate arena, because that is where she says we spend most of the bulk of our days. excuse me, she formed her company De Natura, and she provides wellness and seminars that specialize in stress, pain management, mental health, and postural re-education in the workplace. Her company partners with Baptist South Pineapple Rewards Points and has been featured on PBS All Health TV channel. It is now my pleasure to introduce Teba to you.
Thank you, Celia. So nice of you. That was great.
Thank you.
So welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to see such a wonderful and varied group of people on the call today. We have 42 participants today. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking your time today to listen to what Berkowitz has put together for you with the help of Sapoznik and the Natura Wellness. We're super excited to present this amazing health and wellness and fit and healthy challenge to you, and also to let you know how much investment the company's putting into this for your benefit. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just ask you, I was going to poll, but even though the poll is anonymous, and I can go ahead and launch it, it is anonymous, so your name's not going to appear on there. If you feel that you are feeling happy, amazingly well, or not so well, just think about where you feel right now today on a scale of 1 to 10. If you were to actually give yourself a score, right? Would you say that you are feeling very happy? That would be a 10, or not so happy, that would be a 0. So think about it and maybe make a note of it on a piece of paper that you may have there, just a mental note. So now I want you to think about, on a scale of 1 to 10 as well, if you're feeling mostly stressed and anxious, and that would be a 10, as in I'm really stressed and anxious, the worst day of my life kind of thing. Or I'm feeling pretty peaceful and calm, that would be a 0. So I want you to just think about what your score would be right now today. So you have a chat button at the bottom of your screen, so feel free to share your numbers there if you'd like. So you can put in terms of happy a score, and in terms of stressed or anxious a score as well. There's no obligation to share it, but feel free to do so if you'd like. So what we are looking forward to doing right now is to elevate that score from a not doing so well to doing pretty well, not just on a physical level or a mental level, but also on an emotional level. So one of the things that we wanted to, and forgive me because I am kind of coming in and out of this screen for a sec so that I can move my screens around here. That way you got a little view of what's coming up. So how many of you are actually experiencing any of these symptoms today? So go ahead and use your thumbs up or raise hand option if you're feeling any headaches, irritability, insomnia, that sort of thing. Go ahead and raise your hand on the chat. So we're seeing a few of those. Yeah, quite a few hands raising up there. Okay. How about anybody feeling like they've gained weight in the last few weeks or months? Go ahead and just give us a hands up or a thumbs up if that's been happening to you. Yep. We're seeing a few of those numbers too. There's about a good 8 to 10 people that's showing up. Okay, anybody feeling like their heart rate has gone up, or they're getting more acne, rosacea, even maybe their sex drive has gone down? You can go ahead and raise your hands if you feel any of that. Yeah, so all of these things are actually symptoms of stress and anxiety and, all of these feelings that we have right now. And so the reason why this Fit and Healthy Challenge was devised was to help you try to tackle a lot of these feelings and these issues that you may be facing in a way and in an arena that would hopefully help you all. And to also provide you with the support of an expert team that can help you and help you feel that community. So in the chat, if you'd like, go ahead and let us know what you think makes a successful challenge. So if you've ever done a challenge before, a competition, you've made a bet with anybody, and you want to let us know what you think makes it successful or what would make this challenge successful, give us some thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the screen here for a sec so that I can take a look at what's happening in the chat. Let's see here. So we've got some people saying that it's good to set a goal and stick to it. Having accountability, that's great. Measuring results over time. Okay, so I can tell we're dealing with CPAs. Having a support system, that's very important. Yeah, feeling like somebody's got your back. Realistic and not a hero sandwich of good intent, as delicious as that may be. What a great answer. So yeah, making things realistic, right? Okay, so keep feeding us some of your thoughts, making it meaningful, making it achievable. Yes, agree. Who else wants to give us some of their thoughts? Let's have a look. Anyone else? I know it's hard when we're in a Zoom call. It's not as easy as when we're live, but we're glad to have the technology. Anybody else want to give us a suggestion of what they think makes a challenge successful? Money. Okay, now we're talking. Celia's laughing. There's a lot of money in this challenge. Yay. Okay. As you can see, I'm not saying who's mentioning what. It's fine. That doesn't matter. Okay, so, all right. Well, the good news is that we feel the same way. I think we've pretty much agreed that most of this is what we've thought of as well when we put this together. So what I'd like to do is give you an opportunity to meet the team a little bit more in more detail, so that you can see who's behind the challenge and who's going to help you along the way. I'm going to do a bit of a question and answer session with them, and then stick around because I'm going to show you some slides that will show you how to register for each of these events, how much money is involved, what the prizes and incentives are, how we're going to measure your participation, and what benefits you're going to get out of it. So with no further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Dr. Castellanos, Gus Castellanos. Well, Celia did a very good job of that. So Gus, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and let us know what inspired you to specialize in neurology and also sleep, because that's another one of your specialties, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I don't think I've ever been asked that per se. I got into neurology in the 1970s when I was in medical school at the University of Miami, and I come from a long line of doctors. But interesting, my grandfather and my father are both cardiologists, and so sometimes I think I just rebelled against them and went to the head rather than the heart, because I also have a brother who is a psychiatrist. So go figure. I think
I love it.
I think though, because I think it does play, the theme plays all the way through a large part of my life, that neurology and the brain was not that well known back then. It's still considered sometimes the final frontier of medical science, although I'm thinking now the mind is. But and it was more interesting, and it was more challenging, and I was very curious about how the brain works. So that's how I got into brain. And coincidentally, in the mid 80s, I was in training at Georgetown University, and they opened up one of the first sleep centers. And I just happened to be there. It was run by one of my mentor neurology professors, and so I hung out with him and things like that. And I got interested and fascinated by sleep. And so that was well before before there was even an academy of sleep medicine. And so when I came into private practice in the late 80s here in Jupiter in the North Palm Beach County area, um, it was a natural fit to go neurology and sleep medicine. And so it just sort of was very fitting my curiosity and being inspired. So that's how I
Excellent.
got to those two.
Oh, wonderful. So I know that you're also a mindfulness instructor, and that's why we've got you on the team, right? So tell us, is mindfulness a fad? I mean, you know, what examples have you seen of how that's worked really well in your, you know, as like positive outcomes in your practice along the years?
Yeah, so going along the same theme about how I got into mindfulness. So in 1998, a friend of mine, an internal medicine doctor in Jupiter, brought the mindfulness program to Jupiter Medical Center. And he called me up because I was running the sleep center and because I was a neurologist with dealing with a lot of chronic things like pain and stress and the caregivers of long-term neurologically impaired patients. So he asked me to send patients, and he also saw there was something going on in me, which I will call now burnout, job-related stress, but I wasn't realizing it back then. But he said I should join the class as well because I was looking pretty messed up. Those were his exact words, you know. Send your patients, but you know what? You should be in the class too. And I say that because most people do come to mindfulness these days with the sense of, let's leave it big, stressed out because of something. And as already was mentioned, in the times we're in, I don't think we have to really point out different, even though the pandemic is affecting people in different ways, so many people are feeling the stress, if not in themselves and the people around them. So the reason why I accepted going in, both for myself and to some of my patients, is because even in 1998, there was a lot of science behind it. It's an evidence-based practice, and now this many years later, 20 years later, there's a ton of science. The research on mindfulness, and particularly the neuroscience research of mindfulness has gone leaps and bounds, and it continues to grow. And that's what really sold. But more importantly, I've now done this. Thousands of people have come through my classes. I've seen what happens to them. And so the improvement in their lives and how things change, and sometimes in very surprising ways, is really what's convinced me of its effectiveness. As much as the research supports everything, it's still the people coming back and saying, this has done this for me, that for me, my relationships, my stress, my anxiety, my sleep, my pain. So
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. And I can vouch
yeah.
for that myself. So you've taught at different companies. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, the different types of groups that you've taught in?
Yeah, so the group, so as was mentioned by Celia before, Ackerman's, both Broward and Palm, I ran programs for them, and a couple of other law firms. I won't mention their names at all, but American Express, eClerks, Tiger 21, Trustbridge, which is the hospice of Palm Beach for their leadership teams. But I also have taught, and I continue to teach medical students, physicians, nurses at the Department of Health, behavioral health specialists of all kinds. In Palm Beach County, we have the Children's Services Councils, and I'm one of their mindfulness teachers, teaching everything from their head psychologists down to their simple outreach specialists that go out into the community. I've taught fire rescue, I've taught U.S. Army. I just finished a research course to undergrads and grad students with a little bit of staff at Nova Southeastern during the summer because they were going through quite a bit of challenges, the students were. And so there's a lot of different people that I've groups have. And then the bulk, I would say half of the classes I run are for just general public. So both sides, general public and specific groups.
Excellent. So why is mental health important in, for an employee, say in Berkowitz, not just for their personal benefit, but also for the company's benefit?
It should be pretty obvious. If you have somebody who is not doing well mentally or physically for that matter, they're not going to be that productive. They're going to weigh down not only themselves, but their teams they're on and the people around them, and makes it that much more challenging. And also, from what I saw, the corporate mindfulness, how mindfulness came into the corporate sector, it started to be sold as so many things in our society as a cost reducing measure because it helps reduce healthcare costs, absenteeism, replacement costs by bringing by having the people being healthier and doing their work. But at the same time, for the individual, the productivity goes up. That's one thing that we see consistently when we do certain mindfulness classes for improving performance, if you will. Productivity goes up, and so not only does the person feel better because they're producing better, but they're also less stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, is a win for everybody, including your clients as well as the bosses, employees, and the people all around you. So.
And I would even add, it actually makes your personal life much better. So your relationships at home and with your children, with your spouse, with your family, right? So it goes it runs the gamut of all the relationships, not just with the difficult people at work, which we all have those people, no matter what industry you're in, right? So tell us a
Thanks
little
for
bit.
saying it. Go ahead.
Sorry, did you want to add something?
No, I was going to say, yeah, you want to talk to my wife about that? I won't go there. Let me, no, I say thanks for saying about the challenges that you may have with coworkers and the boss of this way or that way. So.
Right. So we've chosen 4 key mindfulness subjects for the series. Why should the staff who are here today, and also this is a recorded meeting, so for anybody who didn't get a chance to sit on this today, we will be able to share it in the next few days. Why should people get excited about the series that we've put together?
Well, I don't know if we should use the word excited. We're doing mindfulness. Why should people want to do mindfulness?
Right.
Because they're going to reduce their excitement and anxiety levels so that they can be calm, right? I say that kidding around, but that does come up quite a bit. And partly is that we do teach that anxiety and excitement are 2 sides of the same coin physiologically, and mindfulness can help some sort out, transfer when you're feeling anxiety into an excitement phase and use it productively. So to give you a tip off here, when we address stress, we don't make stress go away. We change our relationship to stress. So we set this up, and thank you for your work on this, Teba, because it was through our collaboration. We're going to start off by going through some of the science and research, and particularly the neuroscience of mindfulness. The program that I'm trained and certified to teach comes from the University of Massachusetts School of Medicine. It was started in 1979. And over the 40 years that's been in place, there's been a lot of research on that one program. But from that one program, being in the medical school, it spawned a whole bunch of different programs. And my guess is if you've heard anything about mindfulness these days, unless you come from the Buddhist tradition, which I'm not a Buddhist, by the way, you probably have heard mindfulness because of the program that was started in 1979 at University of Massachusetts. It really got a lot of traction when it started doing research early on. And so we'll go over some of that research and why it may be applicable to people. And basically, I'll be very broad here. There's performance enhancement side, improved concentration, improved working memory, improved mood, and symptom reduction side, reducing the feeling of anxiety, of improving sleep, reducing any aches and pains, and also improving the relationships. So that would be in the first class. And then the second class, we're going to talk about the stress physiology. And I keep it relatively simple, but enough to make sense so that you can feel when you're stressed out. What does that feel like, so that you can then make choices on what you want to do about feeling this way? Do you continue to act in the way you were acting, or do you pause and make another choice, etc.? it's in that pause and in the choosing rather than reacting when we feel a certain way that the power of mindfulness really comes in, making better choices so you have a better life. And then we will be diving into something that's come up a lot, especially during the pandemic, the uncertainty. How do we not so much tolerate it, even thrive in uncertainty? And this is something I learned when I did research at the University of Miami 6-7 years ago with the Army. The project was for pre-employment U.S. soldiers. They were going to the Middle East, and of course, lots of uncertainty there. How to use mindfulness to help improve tolerating and thriving in uncertainty, what we call developing cognitive resilience, the ability to be able to tolerate and put up with and get past just about any challenge. And then finally, the last class we'll be talking about perceptions and how it's really how we perceive things that triggers our reactivity to them, not so much the actual events. It's not so much the pandemic or COVID this or the political this or that. It's how we perceive that causes and triggers the reactivity within us. And that starting off with that self-awareness of that can help us what we call self-regulate, which helps us, of course, leads us to self-care, appropriate self-care. So.
Fabulous. I'm getting excited with the whole program, even though I've been in the design phase of it myself. Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Castellanos.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm going to hand it over to Kara and talk a little bit about the challenge side of the Fit and Healthy Challenge. So to do more with our relationship with food. So Kara, welcome onto the call. As you heard from Celia earlier, as she introduced Kara, Kara is a registered dietitian and she's also a diabetes educator. So Kara, I'm going to ask you the same question. What inspired you to become a registered dietitian?
Well, thank you for having me on the call, Tiba. And I get this question asked a lot. And so my best answer goes all the way, sort of like Dr. Castellanos, goes way, way back when I was in high school. I don't know if you guys remember when you were in high school, but it's a very vulnerable time in our lives. Bodies change. And I was always a very thin girl growing up. And all of a sudden, when I turned about 15, the body started changing. I didn't like it so much. I started having poor relationships with food, skipping meals, not nourishing myself properly. And it affected everything in my life. And luckily, I have a great mother who sent me to see a nutritionist, actually, and said, instead of saying that I had an issue, she basically said, hey, Kara, why don't you go see a nutritionist so she can help you learn a little bit more about food so you can continue to be healthy and look the way that you want to look. And so however she presented it to me made me very okay with it as opposed to it being not okay. And I proceeded to see a nutritionist, and she pretty much enlightened me and helped me find that relationship with food that I really, really needed to catapult myself forward and be a happy person. And I went to college, right after high school, obviously, and I saw all sorts of things going on in college that was happening to me in high school. And I just said, if I can help just one person feel the way that, change my mindset and feel the way that I do about food, that I'd be doing a good service. So I pretty much followed my passion and just wanted to help people find better relationships with food, just like I did moving forward. So that's
Wonderful.
Pretty much why I persevered with nutrition, because I got to say, science was not my thing.
So tell us, what's the difference between a registered dietitian and a health coach?
Okay, well, that leads me to tell you how science is not my thing. So basically, I went to school with all the pre-med students that were really good at all the chemistries, biologies, anatomies, physiologies, and all those things. And then I went on to get a master's. So it took me about 7 years to become a registered dietitian with a master's degree. And if you go online, you can become a health coach in 12 months. So there's a lot more background understanding the body and the chemistries and how it all works in order to help people live healthier and happier lives, not just a certificate that you can get as a health coach. Not saying that there's anything wrong with being a health coach whatsoever. There's just a lot less information and science background
that's involved with that. Okay. I don't know if it's just me. It seems like you just froze on the screen there a little bit. Yeah. So Kara, let's just make sure that your tech is up and running. And if not, we'll come back to you if it isn't. Yep, she's frozen there.
She's frozen.
Yeah, she may have to just log in again. So, well, while she does that, I asked her that question because it's important for everybody at Berkowitz to feel that they have the support of a real professional when it comes to dietetics. And having a registered dietitian and somebody who is focused around not just the diet side, but also who understands what diabetes is, which is actually one of the costliest diseases that the US government actually has to invest in nowadays. 1 in 3 people in the US either have diabetes or have pre-diabetes. And it is a serious disease. It's not just, something that you just take a pill for. So we have Kara on our team who's going to be looking after all of that. So I'm going to wait for her to log back in. And when she does, I'm sure she'll give me a little cue that she's back in. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, there she is. Yay. Kara, go ahead and unmute yourself. I've just been giving them a spiel. What happened?
I don't know what happened.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. I just looped out.
No problem. So
I'm back.
Great to have you back. So tell us what elements of the challenge do you think that we've put together, with your experience teaching in companies, are going to make it successful?
Well, a lot of what people said in the little chat when we started, I thought were all really great responses. I think support is one of the largest factors in success in some of these challenges. Everybody needs a little support out there to, on the days that you're not feeling so good, you have that friend to say, hey, let's go for a walk, or you want to have dinner together and make that recipe that we learned in class today, or something like that. So I think the support, the accountability, having those little constant reminders around you each and every week. We're going to be sending out little daily emails saying, hey, how's it going today? And here's a cool idea for you to try to change that mindset a little bit when you just don't feel like going to the gym, or you just don't feel like getting up and prepping your meals for the week, things like that. I just think that of all of the work that I've done over the course of years, my favorite thing to do, honestly, is to work with a group of people, because I think, as humans, we like to work in groups and we feed off of each other. So I think that's one of the best things that, that a company can do for each other, for all of the reasons that Dr. Castellanos was explaining about the mindfulness and how that all comes together, and efficiency, productivity, increasing the bottom line, all of those things.
That's absolutely true. And this is not just a weight loss challenge. In fact, we called it a fit and healthy challenge because we're measuring much more than weight. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be measuring and why?
Yes. Well, I know that everybody that is getting, that is joining the challenge is getting a scale, a special scale. So, one of the things that I tell all of my clients, whether I'm working with individuals or groups, is that there really isn't one tool that you should be using that is significant to your success. Everybody has different ways of showing whether they're improving or not improving. For example, a lot of people like to get on a scale, right? But it could be that you have a lot of muscle. And if you have a lot of muscle, that scale number might be higher than what the quote unquote BMI should be. And so you might have a false idea of what, whether your weight is healthy or unhealthy. But if you utilize some of the, the information on the scale that you're getting that is provided by Berkowitz, you can see your body fat percentage, your lean muscle mass, You can see, you know, how much water you have in your body. Are you dehydrated? Are you hydrated? And one of the things that I always like to utilize as a tool is what I call the skinny jeans tool, right? So we all have a piece of clothing or something like that you know, we used to wear that made us feel really good or not so good. And you know, the number on the scale could be the same, higher or lower, but it's really how you feel inside and what you look and what you see on the outward should really be what makes you feel good or quote unquote not so good. So I just think, you know, using a number on the scale alone it's not a great tool of success. There are just so many other tools that you can utilize. And within this challenge, that's really what we're talking about, right? We're talking about being less stressed, being more mindful, picking better choices, all of those things. So it's really a multidisciplinary approach.
Absolutely. And actually the measures, and you're going to see it in an upcoming slide, are not just for weight, they're also for improvement in your muscle mass. So anybody who wants to just bulk up a little bit, just be healthier, maybe even gain some weight if you feel that that's what you need to do, will also have the option to win a prize. And somebody who also wants to focus on just reducing their visceral fat. So, you know, if you're working out quite a bit and you're eating healthy and you're improving your muscle and reducing your fat percentage, the number on the scale may not budge, but the number of your fat percentage of your body weight will. And so the great thing about these scales that we're going to be sending out is that they help us see all of that. So yes, excellent. So I think we've made a good point of why, you know, the Berkowitz team should join the challenge. I think they're going to have a lot of support. Like you mentioned, they're going to get these weekly tips and emails. And one other thing that I think is great is that we're going to run the challenge through the holidays. Why is it amazing that we're going to be with them through Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and every other holiday that we want to celebrate over the next few months?
Right. Well, one of the things that, you know, that I think about during the holidays is there's a whole lot of festivities going on during the holidays, right? And along with festivities comes with a whole lot of food. And listen, one of the things, if we go back to why I became a nutritionist, one of the things that I really focus on is that anything goes. There is no, you got to eat this and you can't eat that or anything like that. It's really about finding your relationship with food. Food should be your friend and not your enemy. And I do find with a lot of people, when the holidays come, they have a really difficult time dealing with things like over consuming the food and then feeling so guilty about it, and then squashing themselves and having negativity thoughts and all of these things. And that's why I work a lot with behavior modification and mindfulness along with food choices, because it's not so much that you should, you know, be negative or down on yourself when you eat a cookie or when you eat, you know, more than you think that you should eat. It's
3
really
helpings of turkey.
Exactly. It's really about finding that relationship with food so that when you're eating the food, you're not feeling a certain negativity towards it. So one of the things that I like to work with is a lot of strategies on how to find that friendship and not that, you know, that foul relationship with food. And, oh my God, I ate so much yesterday, so I'm not going to eat anything today. And then you play all sorts of mind games with your head. So I just really think it's so great that we're going to, you know, work together with certain foods that actually affect your mood. So I'm going to teach everybody how food and mood are very well connected and how your gut and your brain are very well connected, so that when you go into the holidays, you're going to have a better attitude about the foods that you're eating, and you're going to have a lot less guilt. And then at the end of the day, you'll get through it and you'll be like, wow, this wasn't such a horrific experience like it has been every other year in the past. At least that's what I hope will happen.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Thank you, Kara, so much for giving us that insight into what the challenge is going to be like. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take everybody through the nitty-gritty of what the challenge entails. So first, I'm going to go through the wellness series. So This is a calendar with the dates that we're going to be discussing different items. So we're going to start with an ergonomics session on the 29th of this month, so next week, where we're going to be talking about how you can basically take a look at how you're sitting, how you're standing, and how you're laying down, and how that affects your body. So you might be able to identify what some of those aches and pains are and where they're coming from, so that you can actually make small, very small changes with a huge impact now that we're all working from home. And we thought we wanted to put this first because it looks like we're going to be working from home for a little while longer. So we better get that one out of the way quickly so that we feel a lot better in our bodies. And after that, we're also going to be looking at how to improve our immunity, given that, you know, the fall and the winter is coming, and we want to be as immune and well prepared for fighting disease as possible. And then we're going to get Dr. Castellanos on board to start talking about mindfulness, bias and judgment, reducing stress and anxiety, improving our relationship with uncertainty. And we're going to finish that off with creating the sleep sanctuary. So we will be sending you all in fact, I think Celia or Karina will probably send everybody just a reminder of these dates and the registration link for each of these dates. So in terms of incentives, we are going to be measuring your participation. So you will be getting, there will be 3 winners allocated for the wellness webinars. They are going to be selected based on attending all of the webinars and attending them in full. So the registration link will allow us to see that you attended the full webinar. And then we'll also be running surveys during the webinar. So also your participation in the surveys will be important. And then logging onto Saposnic's website to take part in some of their fitness classes. And that's the website there. So if any of you want to go ahead and take a screenshot or a photograph of this slide, you can go ahead and do that now. And of course, make sure that you share this with your colleagues, some of whom may not be on the call, because these are amazing prizes. We're going to have a $200 prize for the first winner, $100 for the second, and $50 for the third. And then there will also be a raffle for $30 in each webinar for attending and completing the survey. So even if you're not able to do all of them, if you at least attend some of them, then you'll always be part of that raffle. So if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to type them into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and pass on to the next slide, which is how do you register? So all of these dates that I showed you earlier have a unique registration link. Okay, and that link is going to take you to this questionnaire, which you're probably familiar with if you registered for today's webinar. They're going to ask you for your name and your email. You're going to type in your name for the waiver, and then they will send you a unique link to you that you will use to register onto the webinar that day. Please make sure that you use a personal email, because sometimes the firewall on the company email might prevent the link from reaching you. So just either check your junk or spam mail as well. Also, we're asking for your office location. So just let us know if you're in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca office, etc., because that'll also give us an idea of who's attending from where. And again, the link is enabling us to track your attendance in the webinar. So if you do log in and then you find yourself bored or uninterested or whatever, and you log off, then you will not be registering for the full webinar, and we won't be able to enter you into the prize, the raffle. So make sure that you're there throughout and that you're answering and getting involved in the polls. Okay, so moving on to the challenge. The challenge is a little different. We're going to have 8 opportunities to check in with you and have you register your data. So like Kara mentioned, everybody who registers to participate in the challenge is going to get a unique scale and a link to an app. And some of you who actually saw me in, I think, Celia, it was January, was it? Yeah.
February.
Or February at the company meeting, will probably remember what that was like because I brought one with me, and you actually downloaded the app onto your phone. So it's going to be the same system. You're going to have this scale that's going to actually track more than 10 different values when you get up onto that scale, including obviously your BMI and your weight, but also the percentage of fat you have in your body and how much of that fat is actually around your midline and your viscera, how much muscle you have, and things like that, which are what we're going to be using to determine the winners. So we're going to create where we've created a list of topics that we're going to be discussing at each of these check-ins to help you along the way, from all kinds of things, from, you know, if you've got diabetes or cholesterol, what sort of things, you know, in our eating plan you're going to be looking forward to. You're going to get meal plans for the next pretty much 3 months, and recipes as well that you can use every day. You're going to get weekly emails with tips and also some recorded mindful eating meditations that you can also practice in your time. And of course, you're going to have that support throughout the holidays, which is so important for, I think, all of us, really. So the winning categories are going to be based on improving your BMI, improving the visceral fat and overall percentage of fat in your body, and improving your muscle mass. So if you are somebody who needs to gain weight, then don't be worried about these prizes because you're still eligible for a prize. And if you're someone who just wants to be healthier and, you know, not necessarily lose weight, but you just want to be healthier, you want to have better hydration, you want to reduce the amount of fat around your viscera, then you're also going to be eligible for one of these prizes. So these are the dates. We're going to be kicking off on October the 6th. And we're going to start with the topics on October. Let me have a look here if I can see this. The 27th, I believe it is.
Can you just make sure to clarify that those who join the challenge, they're going to have the opportunity to win, obviously, the $500 prize as the 6 winners.
I love it, Karina, leading me right into the next slide.
I just want to make sure that they understand that if they don't join the challenge, they could still win prizes by attending the webinars, the Suposnick webinars.
Absolutely. So the first set of prizes and webinar dates and topics are one segment, which have their individual prizes, which I just discussed. These are the prizes for the challenge itself. So like we said, you know, you have the option of joining both of these initiatives. They're both part of the same program. So the challenge itself here, which is going to be led by Kara and I, will have the option of 6 overall winners. So $500 prizes for each of those winners. So 1 male and 1 female for each of these categories. So most improved BMI, most improved percentage of body fat and visceral fat loss, and most improved muscle mass. So that's a really nice investment from Berkowitz. You're basically going to receive money to be healthy. I mean, how much better can it get? But we're also, if you're not able to attend each of those check-ins, you can still join. You can check in and get weight at the beginning, and then check in and get weight at the end. Of course, we feel the support that we're going to be giving you, and the involvement and all of the tips and information that Kara is going to be sharing with you in those webinars that we're going to be doing is going to be really important for your success. So we do we do invite you to join all of those. And then we will also have a raffle at the end of the challenge to give out a $50 prize to the person who's most involved. So even if they're not a winner in one of those 3 categories, if they've attended all the meetings, they've submitted results for what's on the scale for every check-in, and they've opened all of the weekly emails that we send and done all of the surveys and all of that, then they'll be entered into that $50 raffle. Karina, did I cover all of that? Yeah, okay. So again, how to register for the actual challenge itself. It's the same. You're going to have a registration website that HR is going to share with you for the actual challenge. This one, the first one, will ask you for a bit more information because we do have to ship those scales out to you. And we're also going to ship a few other goodies. Some supplements and things to help you along the way, courtesy of the Natura Wellness. So we're going to be asking for your mailing address. So please give us a real mailing address. Don't make it up. Otherwise, somebody else will get your scale. And we're also asking you again to share an email that doesn't have a firewall, just to be sure that you get all of the confirmation emails, not just from the Zoom platform, but also from the Natura Wellness, because those weekly tips are going to be coming out through Constant Contact from the Natura. So make sure that you put both of these addresses on your address book so that they don't go into your spam. So info@Natura Wellness will be what I send out, and Mary at Sapoznik will also be sending you information regarding the fitness classes and anything else that you may need to know in that regard. Again, HR is going to forward those registration links for everybody who wants to join. Please make sure you try to join before October 29th for this challenge so that we have time to ship all of that out to you.
September
I mean
29th,
September
right?
Sorry,
29th,
September
not
29th,
October.
forgive
Okay.
me. September 29th. And then last but not least, share the word with your colleagues and everybody you're working with. So not everybody will have been on this call, but as you can see, Berkowitz are really, really putting their money where their mouth is with making sure that they can help you feel better in your skin, feel better in your body, feel better with your emotions and with your mind, because they want to have a healthy and happy workplace environment. And now that we're all working from home, that's as important as ever. So share this information with your colleagues. Celia and Karina are gonna, like I said at the beginning, share a recording of this presentation. So if anybody wants to listen to it again or share it with somebody, that would be fantastic. And I'm going to use the last few minutes. We're finishing right on time to open it up to questions if anybody wants to send in the chat. No worries if any of you need to leave and log off now. This is pretty much the end of the presentation, but just opening up for any questions or comments that you may have. I'm just going to read one of them here. If we already signed up with our work email, will we receive an email confirming we are registered? Yes, you will. Just make sure that you check your spam in case it went into your junk or spam box. Is there a specific login that we will have to access the app or site? No. Well, what you will have is a link that is unique to you. That's why it's important to register for each of these events. So I'm going to go ahead and show those emails again so that you can take a picture and make sure that you put those in your contacts. And this is also for your spouses. So if your partners, anybody you're living with wants to take part in this, Karina's letting me know that this is open to them as well. So they just have to log in separately with their own name and their own email. Otherwise, if you log in together with the same one, we won't be able to track it. Yes, spouses do need to register separately. When are you going to get the initial email? So Celia, I'm not sure about that. I think this week you will be sending out a
Yes.
company-wide email, right? Yeah.
Yes. It'll also be posted on the Blue Arrow.
Yeah, and IT will put the domains on the white list so they don't go to spam. Great, I love it. Thank you, Joe. Great. Well, that makes a big difference. So, somebody's got a meeting, so they've got to go, but they will be registering. So, I'd like to go ahead and launch a poll for those of you who are still here.
So, Teba, you have a question there relative to how do spouses register?
So the spouses can use that same registration link that you're going to send for each event, but they will get prompted with their own box to put in their name, their email, etc. So the registration link is the same for everybody. Once you've registered and you've put your information in, then that's when the program then sends you to your email a personal link that you will use to log in on the day. So hopefully I explained that well. If not, please let me know via the chat and I'll try to find different words to express myself. Any other questions, comments? I've just launched a poll, so please go ahead and answer it. Hopefully you're super excited to join this initiative, share it with your colleagues. I'm not seeing anybody saying not at all excited, so I'm excited about that. So I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to finish this poll. And I'm going to, all right. So we've got 93% of people who are super excited, which is great. A few of them lukewarm, they're on the fence.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
Fair enough. So, okay, and we've got one other, let's have a look. A few thoughts about this initiative. Go ahead and let us know if you feel that it comes at the right time, that it shows it's an opportunity for you to be thankful about having a job and working at a company that cares about you and all of that. That it offers a sense of community and support, which is important. So happy for you to go ahead. So is it only spouses or any person in my household? Karina and Celia, spouses only or any person in the household?
Well, we tried to, no, it's really only spouses or your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
But if anyone wants to call me, we can certainly discuss it.
Yeah. So if you have a parent or a sibling or somebody at home, or maybe even a child who you really want to get on board with this, then please feel free to reach out to Celia and we can get that organized, because, you know, having support at home is also important. So we're seeing that this initiative definitely is coming at the right time, and it shows that Berkowitz cares. So we're getting good results with that. So with that being said, if anybody else has any other questions, we have Nicole, who says her answer doesn't have to be anonymous. She's super excited. I love the enthusiasm. Nicole Zafrani, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Go ahead and spread the word. Thank you, Karina and Celia, for all your support, and thank you to Sapoznik for coordinating this with Berkowitz. I think with that being said, we can go ahead and bring this to a close. If there's anything else you'd like to mention, Celia, before we log off?
No, I encourage everyone to join. This is something very exciting that the firm is doing and has done. And I encourage all of you, and please let others know as well that this is going on. And I want to thank Teba and Dr. Castellanos and Kara for joining us and providing valuable information to all of us.
For sure.
Everybody be well, be healthy.
Indeed.
And sign up.
And sign up, and have a great rest of your week, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you all next week for a great wellness webinar on how to sit better and stand better and lay down better.
Don't forget your flu shot.
Don't forget your flu shot either.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right.
All right, great. Have a great
Okay.
afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
I was looking at the poll answers. That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yes. Pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here.